are live now.
Okay, thank you. All right, good evening, everybody. I'd like to call this Board of Supervisors of Elections meeting to order. It's Thursday, June 6, 2024. Roll call, Keanu Smith-Brown.
Present here.
Okay, and I'm present, Eileen Leahy. Debbie Yatzik is unfortunately not able to make it this evening. She has sent in some comments for us to review. We also are currently joined by City Clerk Regina Watkins Eldridge, and hopefully maybe joined by Cynthia Reuter and Ashley Leonard. Did we have any public comments?
No.
Madam Clerk? No, okay. Approval of the minutes. I'm going to defer them to our June 20th meeting when we're all present. And let's just get on to old business. The primary purpose of this special meeting is really to do kind of like a final review of a number of the proposed legislation documents that we've been reviewing to get them up to the county for them to do a review. So the timeline really is looking at, let's get them to a point tonight where we can move them up to the county. The county will give us feedback, and then at our June 20th meeting, hopefully we can final them and then send them on to the city council through the process that includes public hearings. So let's get started. The first one I actually have is for definitions. It's not delineated in proposed legislation, but we've been doing that each month. And Cynthia had included the comments that we had from our last meeting with one addition that I had asked for, which was number 31.
Yes, I remember you mentioned this.
Okay, right. So she pulled that out, and I'm glad to see that she included B, because I was doing some research on recounts today and really hadn't considered that voters can actually petition for a recount of a ballot question. So that does include that here. So I believe that's the only additional change at this point. Is there anything else you think needs to be added?
No, and just to clarify, I know you mentioned something about calendars. We said we would just skip by the difference of the calendar. I think it was like a calendar year. Because in the code it referenced something that had to be within this specific calendar date. And you brought up a question of should we clarify the differences between the types of calendars? Do you recall that?
Right, and that's the pre and the post election.
Okay.
Okay, when we get to that, you'll see what I proposed.
Okay, great.
I think we're good here.
Sure. Okay.
So if you can make a motion to accept the definitions as currently written, and we'll send them on to the county.
Yes, and I will, and I think I'm glad that the chair part here is also clarified. I think everything is exactly what we needed. So I move to move forward on this piece of legislation, our elections definition, to approve this, and so it can be going on into the process.
Okay, so it'll be sent to the county. So all in favor?
Aye.
All right, great. Okay. Mail-in voting is next.
Yes.
Hello, Cynthia. Thank you for joining us.
Hello.
So the biggest change that Cynthia was able to, did include was that application mailed to all registered voters, which was a good pickup on your part, Keanu.
Yes.
So that was on page 3.
Now, Cynthia, are you okay? I know it's specified there that it'll be mail-in ballot application. When I was looking over it, we mentioned a lot mail-in. So would you mind just adding that word before ballot application as mail-in on its line 33 and 34? where it says it will be mailed a ballot application. Could we just throw mail-in in there? So it can say mail-in ballot application.
Okay.
And what line was that? 33, you said?
It's 34 technically. Yes, 34.
All right.
Okay, and then on page 4, the changes were made to request allowed versus required.
Yes.
I'm not sure. I don't remember that one. Do we need both of them, or are we looking at substituting allowed for required?
Because for some reason it was still there. It wasn't crossed out or anything.
Is it because we added the word may
Underlined.
instead of shall? We changed it. Remember that, Cynthia?
I remember that you requested it to be changed. I'm still trying to get on.
Oh, I'm sorry. You can take your time.
Okay.
I think I'm looking at this differently now, too.
And we're in mail-in ballots. There we go.
Correct. Yeah, we're in draft 6.1 and we're on page 4, the top.
Okay.
So we changed the City of Annapolis registered voter may request a mail-in ballot application. And I'm wondering if that's what triggered the change in the heading. Rather than request required, it became request allowed.
I can't remember who requested that, but somebody asked for that to be done.
I don't have it on my copy. Do you have it on yours, Keanu?
I do recall this change. And though I'm okay with the may request, though I think it's because the request is not necessarily required, because we're going to be sending the mail-in ballot applications without the request. But because this says is may request a mail-in ballot application, so we were saying that you're not necessarily required to ask for the mail-in ballot application because we're sending them to you already. And so I think that's why this was updated to say that they may request, and that request is allowed. It's an option for them, but it's not a requirement.
Okay.
Originally, it was required because you could not get a mail-in ballot unless you asked for it.
Exactly, and then we changed that.
And then, since you're mailing them out to everybody, that's why you changed it to may. But the required on the B, that should have been, I should have removed that. So it should be just request allowed.
Okay, all right. Okay, so then going on to page 3. Oh, we already did that one, sorry. Page 5, I don't see any blue. And page 6 and 7, I don't see any blue. Anything that you want to know, Keanu?
Well, I was going to ask, I know I kind of mentioned at the last meeting, are we going to notify the persons when their ballot is rejected? Are we going to notify them of that? I know we're going to notify, it's another part of this that talks about notifying them, though not under the counting multiple ballots prohibited part.
Are you talking about the ballot or the ballot application?
The ballot itself on page 5.
Well, we don't notify people that their ballot's been rejected.
Okay, I just wanted to see about that. Only because I know if a voter voted and they know they put 2 in there, most likely. But I was just looking at that. I just wanted to ask. to make sure.
Right, during the canvass, when we review the ballots, they don't have identifying information on them.
For us to be able to,
Right,
yeah,
so the
figure it
ballot
out.
application, I think we did discuss some of that, that if it
Yeah, we will.
complete or something, and so we can, you know, if there's a problem and there's a way of getting a hold of them, we probably can, but there's nothing for the ballot.
Okay, just wanna.
Okay.
Just sad the
Anything?
voters don't get to vote. That's always just the part that they
They
don't
get to
have
vote,
their
but they got to do it
The
correctly.
vote's not counted, right? You know, it's not counted. It's not counted. Oh, excuse
Right,
me.
it's like you can't vote mail in unless you ask for a ballot through an application.
Right.
So one of
Okay.
the challenges for sometimes overseas voters is that they download the ballot and they submit it, but if they haven't requested a mail-in ballot, it may not be accepted. So, all right. So we're good on that. You want to make a motion to accept that and send on to the county?
Yes, I'm making sure. I know it wasn't. It may be the other piece because I saw where it was doubled. I think it's another piece of legislation. So yes, I will move to accept this piece of legislation regarding our elections of mail-in ballots. Yes, and send that to the county, please. Mail-in ballot requests, mail-ins.
All right. Second, all in favor? Aye.
Yeah, that was it.
Okay.
Can I just ask a question?
Sure.
When we send it to the county, it's going to be labeled draft, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be renamed a first reader draft.
Yeah. We just want to make so we can track it, so we'll know exactly what you sent, and then when they make their comments and come back, they'll go to Cynthia, and then that'll be the second draft, and you guys get to review it. Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And thanks, Cynthia, for making that update to it. I mean, we're approving it based off that with that update included.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Okay.
provisional ballots and canvassing. I know that in the past meetings, we've said that we were going to go ahead and just adopt the state code, but I realized we really haven't looked at the state code to make sure that it's all applicable. And one of the things that I know may be something that we need to reconsider is that currently in code, we don't open ballots before election day, but the county is doing that. So I'd like to defer this piece until we have a chance to look at that actual election law and then review it on the 20th.
Can you make a motion to do that, please?
Yeah, I move to defer provisional voting and canvassing until our June 20th meeting.
And Cynthia, I sent you an email late in the day asking if you could pull that up for us and send it to us.
Mm-hmm. Got it.
That'd be great. Thank you. Now penalties and fees. I don't recall receiving a specific one on that. Didn't that already go forth?
Hold on. He made the motion. You have to second and carry it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Second, and all in favor? Aye. Okay, so moved.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Now penalties and fees, I recall. Well, I recall looking at the fee chart, but I guess. Cynthia, am I correct in thinking that really penalties and fees is included in surplus funds and reporting deadlines?
You talking about what the actual fees are?
Not the actual fees, but just the deadlines and everything like that. Because we didn't change the fees as far as I recall.
No, you put them into the taking them out of the code and putting them into the fee schedule.
Right. But in this part of the legislation, we went ahead and we're just going to make reports, which includes amended. So that will be a change for amended reports. And it'll be a change for pre-election and post-election. I don't think we delineate or differentiated those two in the fee schedule that was put forth.
I don't know. Let me look real quick. No, it's just yeah, you do. It's pre-election, post-election, and there are different amounts.
Right. Has that already gone to first reader?
Nope.
Is that
No, it's not. Pre-election is $20 a day for the first 6 days, and then $10 a day each day after. Post-election is just a flat $10 a day.
Okay. So I think we can do that discussion along with the deadlines and all. Keanu, I've been thinking about, we did have a discussion about pre-election and post-election, and it's confusing because the day after is post-election, but at what point does it become pre-election almost? So my thought is, do we want to just go ahead and just do it all the same? Regina?
Couldn't pre-election be the date, the first day you could submit your certificate of candidacy? Couldn't that be the same date?
Well, I mean, we can, we just have to define it. It's defined differently now. I'm kind of in favor of making it the same, to be honest with you.
Right.
And that it's just a report, and the report's got to be, you know, I mean, the way I'm looking to see where we have it in here. Here we have pre-election fees for required pre-election reports and affidavits not filed by the required deadline shall be assessed. I mean, it's not really clear when one stops and when starts. So yes, the answer is we could define it differently, but do we want to?
Yeah. So if we weren't to, would we just say, what would the term be used as?
It would just be fees for all reports.
I think generalizing it would be I'm fine, unless that would cause any problems anywhere else in the code, which it doesn't seem would, because this is the place where it is at. So
well, and one of the things we're trying to do with the reports is to make them more timely and just get them in. So,
and it could be less confusing for the candidate, less confusing for us, the board. And so
right.
Be.
So if we look at surplus funds and reporting deadlines, which is draft 3.2. If you look on page 3, timely reports required. So we're looking at all reports or statements. So that's whether they're amended or we're just kind of doing away. It's a report. And then the certificate of candidacy cannot be accepted on behalf of a person who's not met this requirement. That's pretty much, I think, follows code currently. But the late fees would change. So instead of making it pre-election and post-election, the fee amount is adopted annually by the city council. And so we would make it $20 a day for a maximum of 500. So that would need a change on the fee schedule.
On the fees, yeah. And I think that's in line with what we talked about some months ago, a few or so months ago, when you brought that up. And we all agreed to it. I know Debbie was in agreement.
Right.
It's just, I think then Madam Clerk, I think, spoke up and mentioned that it was in the process and we would have to wait with Cynthia. So now that you're on and join us, I think I completely agree and support this, Eileen.
Where is the fee schedule? Because that's been introduced somewhere else, hasn't it?
We're still in the process of adopting amendments to the fee schedule.
So
They're going to be doing that on Monday.
So we can change it?
We can, Cynthia can draft an amendment and ask the administration sponsor it.
Okay.
but they did have a deadline for amendments for the council. So we're going to have to talk to them to see if we have to do it maybe after they adopt the budget.
This doesn't go into effect until for another year, right? Or did,
No,
No, it'll go in effect whenever it occurs, because they're, like, for instance, they have a report due in July.
right.
oh,
Well,
okay.
so it won't necessarily kick in until next year.
Okay.
All right, well, if you can do that, Cynthia, that would be great.
All right, I'll talk to him about it.
Okay. And then the daily fees, this was inserted because we wanted to make sure that anybody looking at it realized that it included amended reports. So the blue daily fees for required election reports, including amended reports and affidavits not filed by the required deadline, shall be assessed each day until filed. I tried to check about the affidavits, but it's not clear what they're talking about. I would say leave it in there. The only affidavit that we use is really having to do with the central committee. So, it's probably, it would be a non-issue, because when they file, they sign the affidavit that they're not going to raise any money. Okay,
I'd rather be in there to keep it safe.
yeah, okay. Anything on that page, Keanu?
No, well, maybe I can bring up, so in some areas we cross out chairman or chair, and in other areas we've kept it. Was that intentional, or are we looking to remove chair and all? Or
Where
maybe we
are
did it. So
where are
for
you
example,
looking?
Oh, I see it,
yeah,
yeah.
so yeah, I
Up
know
in
that,
A.
yeah, page
It
3 we did it, and
it was
C
removed because a chairman is not responsible for those
for
who vote
those.
for
That's
addicts.
exactly what I thought. Okay, I just want to make, yes, absolutely. I figured, because I did look in other areas where it was kept, and so I know it has to most likely do mainly with the finance side of things here.
Right, so we're good on that
Lines.
page?
Yes.
Okay, then on page 4, on line 6, we took chair out there and made it if the candidate or treasurer. And then down on line 11, we've changed it to 15 days from the notice.
We are going in with these gadgets. Gonna learn today.
Get it all
That's what
done.
this is. Okay.
Anything else on that page? I think that page is good. Now on page 5, we're looking down at line 10. And we had talked about taking out if convinced and changing it to may determine. So instead of if convinced that it is may determine there is need to grant a waiver. This is in regards to the fee waiver.
For some reason, I don't see that.
Draft 3.2.
Let me. Let me do something right quick. Go. I saw. Here we go. On. Okay. Yeah, I think we're set here.
Got it. It's surplus.
Yeah,
fund.
I have, for some reason, I had 4 pages and not 5, but I pulled it up here.
It's page 5 of 5. Found it?
Yeah, yes, I have it. I may have printed it, but yes, everything is set here.
All right. So can I have a motion to accept this version of surplus funds and reporting deadlines with the changes requested.
Yes, I move to accept surplus funds and reporting deadlines as with those edits requested.
Okay, great. Oh, let me go back though.
I know there was a.
Did
there's
we
a-
add, did this says surplus funds and do I have the wrong one? Reporting deadlines.
That's what I'm saying. I had different have a different one here for some reason.
Okay, so I don't have the version you sent out today. Did Cynthia, were you able to add the number 3 to the surplus funds? Does your copy have it?
The number 3 on where?
On page 2 of the surplus funds. We have the paid to the city, paid to the central committee.
Yes, she did. She did. And get
paid
and
to
you
charitable
made-
organizations?
Yeah,
Yes.
charitable. Yeah, it's there.
Okay,
Draft 3.2 has it.
okay. Okay, so we're good.
And I based it off of state law.
Okay. All right, okay, so now we're on to,
You just need a
ballot.
second, I think.
no. Did I say, did we vote on that motion?
No, not yet.
You didn't get a second. He made the,
Yeah, we did.
Keanu made the
I'm
motion,
a
but we
second.
didn't get.
Okay,
Okay.
second,
Okay.
all in favor? Aye. Moving on to ballot questions.
Okay.
I'm looking page 1 and 2. No changes. Number 3. I think you all probably saw the email. I had asked Ashley
Mhm.
to look at it again, because when we asked for that opinion from the Office of Law concerning ballot questions, it was noted that the state requires 20%, and so ours is different. So she asked us to amend it so that B reads, so A, at least 10% of voters registered in the city of Annapolis, or, and then added such other percentage of voters as may be required by state law.
Wait, where are you? What number?
Sorry, I'm on page 3. On
And
ballot
where
questions,
in page 3?
at the
on-
bottom, under, at 31,
Oh, where it says at least 10%?
right.
You want
I'm
that to
just
be what?
pointing out to Keanu that you had incorporated the
Mhm.
comments that Ashley had made.
That
So these-
that should be
these com-
20%?
No, these comments were made after our last meeting, so it's fine. It can be at least 10% of voters or such percentage of voters as may be required by state law. So it may have to go up to 20%, but my understanding from what she said is it doesn't have to be stated here. We can say 10%. It's just kind of a backup.
And that was, I know the reasoning behind that was if we shifted to aligning our elections with the state. Now, what if we shifted to aligning, I'm not saying I agree with that, but I'm just sharing this with the federal elections. Would that change this either?
Well, we haven't really discussed the federal elections. I think we've all decided we're going to go with 10%. This was just
Oh,
a
yes.
backup if there was something that might preclude us at the state level saying it has to be 20%.
Okay, I was just mentioning because I know it's just in case we may align too with the state at some point if that were to take place.
Well, it sometimes depends on what the ballot question is going to be about.
All right, but so
We
what
can
this
look
says
back
right
at-
now is that somebody can choose between 10% or the state level of 20%. It's either or, and somebody can choose one or the other. And
Right.
basically you can choose it based on whether you want to make it harder or easier for the signatures, the people gathering the signatures.
I'm looking to see. I sent her email out.
Right, I can see what you're saying. So it doesn't delineate which one would happen first or
Right.
which one would it be.
The question is, do you want it to?
Well, I'm looking up what her,
Her reasoning. And it was partly, I know the reasoning was part about aligning with the state election. That's why I brought up, what if we aligned with the federal election? Would that change or alter anything? That's all.
No.
Which it may, yeah, I figured it wouldn't, but I just wanted to make sure for clarification purposes. Does it really have ballot? I mean,
email
they
thread, but
do.
I can't find it.
It's actually in the same email that you sent, Eileen, to the team
Mhm.
when you forwarded the it's called election legislation update, and you have to look through the correspondence.
Right, it's just I'm on my phone, and so I'm having a hard
Oh,
time.
okay.
Well, is there any problem with how it's written? I mean,
Well, Cynthia was mentioning that it kind of gives a power to whoever's deciding this, which one to choose from, versus it will be at least 10% of the voters, or if required by state law, such other percentage of voters. Whereas now it kind of reads that it can be one or the other. Isn't that what you were saying, Cynthia? I believe.
Yes.
all right, well, I'm gonna go back and look, see if I can find. It had to do with the opinion from the Office of Law.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I see. You're talking about the original. Yeah, she sent us in with her comments or something. Like, I know.
Right, that's what I'm
Let's
looking for,
see.
the comments. Yeah, so do you want to hold on to this and get more clarification from her? Or are you okay? We'll go ahead and just send it on to the county.
Well, maybe in light of what was shared about without it being really clear here, we could hold off on this one.
Well, it's a pretty big one. I mean, we can still make.
Yes, I thought the
later.
same. That's why I'm over here hesitant.
We can still
Only
make changes later. The challenge is even if I pull up that opinion of law, it's I mean, this is what her
oh
recommendation,
yeah, this is what it
the
was.
opinion that we gave. So I'd like to say we could just move forward with, and if we need clarification on the rationale, we can get it from her.
It says here, syncing city elections with the state would be a charter change since election dates would be changed. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, I'm just, no, let's just keep it focused on this. Are we okay with keeping it here, or do you want to
I
take
asked
it out
Cynthia,
and then add it later, or?
yeah, maybe we do that. I was going to ask Cynthia, would that be your recommendation to maybe take it out and add it later, or to just adjust the wording a little bit to make it more clear that it's the first one?
See, I don't think what she meant was it was an either or. So I'm kind of going with what she wrote. This is, Cynthia has
Oh no,
put in.
not Ashley's, Cynthia. Oh,
Cynthia
it
put in what
reads-
Ashley asked us to put in.
Right, but as it reads, it's either or. You can do either.
Right, and I think that's what she meant. I just don't understand the rationale behind what she's doing. I don't think it changes what she's recommending we do. We may just want more of an understanding of how that is. So
could we take away the or then, Cynthia, if required by state law, like if required by state law, such other percentage of voters may be required, or something like that. How could we, because that or gives it's one or the other. But if we took away the or and just said it's this A, but if the state law is requiring something different, we have to abide by that.
You could change it to unless, but if you do that, I would prefer, I would recommend that you run it by Ashley.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
I'd rather
So-
keep it as she's written it, and then we can change it later if we need to.
You could also send that question as part of your review to the county when you send the legislation.
Yeah, well,
If
we
you-
can also just find out from her. I don't think it's gonna, we can change it later if it's something that, I don't think it's gonna be anything we disagree with. It's just maybe understanding the rationale for it.
So if this isn't if we won't, if as long as it's not a one or the other, and someone's deciding the two, and we can come back to this, I see we might as well just move forward with it, and then at the next meeting, if possible.
Well, the city council will decide which one it's gonna be.
And that's the okay. So what would lead the city council to determine just 10% versus what the state
Well,
law?
municipal law would come first. So there would have to be a reason to go to the state law,
I don't think that's what it says.
but yeah.
Would it is it okay to not include it until we come back to it instead
Well,
of
we won't get
just-
to it until June 20th. I would like to keep it as is. And then if we need to change it on June 20th, we can do that.
versus keeping it as it was before, then adding it back after we get the
Then we have to
clarification?
take it out now. And
Yeah,
put it back
just
in.
for safe. Yeah, just for the Senate of knowing that okay, it's no concern behind it when we pass it as original, and then when we come back to it, okay, we've gotten Debbie can give her chime in, and Ashley maybe will be on the call and can share them, and we would add right back to it, and then it's moved on forward.
All right.
Versus if we do it now, it's like
Well, I just want to clarify, Ashley was asked to check this, and so this is what her recommendation based on her opinion of law that we had submitted earlier. This is what she recommends we include in there.
right. And we should include the recommendation when
This is
I'm not saying
exactly
this
what she
shouldn't be
wrote.
included.
This is what she wrote.
Okay,
What Cynthia has included is what she submitted. So we either accept it as it is, and then if we feel the need, we can change it and get feedback from her, or we take it out and still follow up with her and then possibly have to put it back in.
If you're going to send it to the state review for review, better to leave it in and just flag it for their opinion rather than leave it out and put it back later, and then it's something else that they would want to review.
that they have to review again. Exactly.
Well, that's a good idea. So we'll flag
Yeah,
it.
if we do it that way, if we can at least make that note. Okay, well, I move that with the flag that we accept this legislation with the.
Well, we still have some others to review of this document. On page 4,
Okay,
there's
I'll
some
rescind that.
changes.
Sure, I can rescind that.
So on page 4, she's crossed out the 10% and just put in percentage of voters.
Which is in alignment with what the earlier part of it is.
And that's just clarifying on the date the question is certified by the city. Remember, we went back and forth on what the date was going to be.
But this one, I think, is the best date that we said should be.
Okay, and that was from Ashley.
Mhm.
And so, fourth, I don't see anything on 5. I don't see anything on 6 or 7. So we're looking at accepting the changes, but we'll flag them for the county and then follow up with Ashley on them. Does that kind of sum it
So
up?
yes, absolutely. So I'll bring back that motion now to accept this with our flag. To move forward with
So
the county.
you're accepting this, the ballot questions?
Yes.
Thank you.
So did you make the motion?
I did. I know because I knew that the other parts were really like minor. We didn't really have to do anything there. So I'll just bring it back. Yep, I already made the motion.
Okay, so I'll second. All in favor? Aye. Okay, great. Okay.
Now though, and so the flag's really important only because we do want to make sure that it's not a biased decision being made. You know, it's not going to be a convoluted, I don't really care for this ballot question, so let's make it more according to what the state is saying. And so Cynthia pointing that out, I think it's really important that we make
Well,
sure,
I
but
think
not
when
to
we-
say that this was going to do that, but just to make sure we all have that, understand that it won't be that way.
Okay, the last one is recount, and I'd like to defer that. I know that Debbie has some
I'm with it.
questions about it. We really haven't flushed that out completely. There's still a lot of questions, and I didn't want to get into a lot of discussion without having our third member here. So I'd like to defer that.
Yes, and upon deferring, I agree. Upon deferring that, Cynthia, would you mind looking at what the state says about that, what I shared that last time, and maybe adding as a little some supplement information with the 4 ways that we can count the ballots, as well as I know at the bottom part of how they do the calculations of the ballots. I think that's what we mentioned.
We don't have to put the methods into code. Is that what you're
No,
saying?
not to put it into the, just for supplementary document for everyone to see.
It's it's outlined in the information I sent out and also the information you sent out. It's the
I know she just pulled it because she pulled this from the existing city code, and it's ready for board changes.
There's something called the Maryland Recount Guide.
Yep, that's the one I was talking about.
Right, so we've all gotten that. It's identified in there.
Oh, great. So Cynthia, you've already accepted those. I think are some of the changes that we'll have to make to this here. So I guess we'll wait for Debbie to maybe start incorporating.
But what changes are you talking about making?
Well, the 2 I think I think Kurt would like to talk.
Well, let's defer. I mean, there's questions about whether we're going to make it automatic, and if you make it on, I mean, there's a number of things. Who's going to? I mean, some of the questions are who can petition, and what can be petitioned. You know, there's a number of variables, so we just have to wait and look at that a little bit more. I made up a little sheet here, so there's what can be recounted. We don't have anything in there. I think I have to double check about ballot questions. You know, who will pay for it? What type of recount can be requested? So there's a number of things that we need to review as a whole. But it's reviewing it and then deciding what needs to be in code, because our code does not vary that much from the state code.
It just doesn't. Yeah, it just doesn't have those key components that we're looking to incorporate. The parts about the candidate having because this doesn't say anything about because one of the questions you had was which would the candidate choose, which process would the candidate choose for recounting the ballots. That was a part of the conversations you brought up.
Right, they can do that. They can do that now. My question was if you made it automatic.
Okay, yes.
So it's kind of one of those things. If we make it automatic, then it's a domino effect of making some other decisions. But if we choose not to make it automatic, then there may not be as many changes. Does that
Right,
make
and I
sense?
think, and we'll talk. I think it's best to talk when Debbie comes back because I know we all agreed at our last meeting that it would not be automatic, and it would be upon the candidate would be able to ask, and then if it's within the margin of difference, is when the costs would be alleviated. That's what I think we're kind of on that path.
Right.
And so the only reason why I mentioned asking Cynthia about supplementary documents because I didn't see any of that in this or any conversation, like any updates to this aside from it just being pulled direct from the code. Because I would like to see where would it go in this code. Where, how would we make a new section? Would it be within procedures? Or the costs? I think the recount costs section. But okay, yeah, let's move
But
this
we have to
forward. I
make
think
those
Madam Clerk,
decisions. We have to make those decisions first
indeed,
and then figure out where it goes. Does that make sense, Shannon?
of course, yes.
Oh.
Madam Clerk, can we? Is your hand being raised?
I was just saying that you did make a motion to defer recount, but until the 20th meeting
Yes.
Mhm.
because we didn't finish the vote on it, so it needs a second.
Nope.
So do we have two motions?
No, you have one.
So I'll second the motion. All in favor? Aye. Okay.
Yeah,
So there's no new business because of this being a special meeting.
right.
And so we met our goal. We got through those, which is great.
Yes.
And appreciate all the work you've done, Cynthia, and also Regina with
Absolutely.
reviewing it. So we'll get
Yes.
this up to the state board up in Anne Arundel County. I know that they've sent a couple of things forward with wanting some clarification on things. So I think they must have a lull in their election in terms of being able to review some things. So I'll follow up with Ashley in regards to the ballot question. And then Cynthia, if you can look at that part about the provisional voting and canvassing that we can review, and we'll look at that at the next meeting too.
You bet.
And I think
At our
that's
next meeting, are we going to start discussing the task force recommendations?
If we
Or are
have
we going to
time.
hold off?
If we
Right.
have time, we still
Or are we
have
going to
fair
hold off?
election practices to discuss, and we've got priorities still to discuss. So we've spent a lot of time on this, which is kind of, and we also have a presentation on ranked choice voting
Exactly.
next. So, so we'll get there. And then we
No
have a
pressure, just
virtual
wanna-
meeting in July because we'll need to be reviewing the campaign fund reports. So it's busy time. It's
Yeah,
only
a lot
going to get
going on.
busier as we go along. So, all right, can I have a
Yeah.
motion to adjourn?
That's very quick. I move to adjourn tonight's meeting, June 6th, 7:49 p.m.
I'll second it.
2024.
All in favor of adjourning at
Yeah.
7:49 p.m.?
See.
Aye.
Aye.
Right, all right, thank you,
Blessings, everyone.
Keanu. Thank